Once upon a time, in a land where the trees whispered secrets and the wind carried forgotten tales, there was a child who did not belong. She had been found as a baby, swaddled in rags at the edge of the forest and taken to an orphanage. There, she always felt like a stranger, never quite belonging among the other children. She grew up hearing whispers, how her wild golden hair never tamed, how her nails seemed thicker than other children's, how she never caught colds like the rest. But the strangest thing was the pull she felt toward the trees, the deep and aching sense that somewhere, beyond the thick brambles and gnarled trunks, there was something waiting for her. One day, when she could no longer resist the call, she ran. The further she went, the more familiar it all felt. The scent of damp moss, the rustling leaves whispering like old friends. Hours passed, and just when exhaustion threatened to take her, she saw it. A quaint wooden cabin nestled in a clearing, smoke curling lazily from the chimney. Something about it tugged at her heart, though she was certain she had never seen it before. Hunger gnawed at her insides, and the door, strangely, was left ajar. Inside, the cabin was warm and inviting, but as she stepped inside, a strange unease prickled at her spine. She found 3 bowls of porridge on the table. The first was too hot, the second too cold, but the third, small and humble, was perfect. Not just in taste, but in feeling. It warmed her from the inside out, filling something deeper than hunger. Next, she saw 3 chairs. The largest was too hard, the second too soft, but the smallest felt right, as if it were made for her. When it creaked beneath her weight, she gasped, a strange sense of panic bubbling up. By the time she reached the 3 beds, her exhaustion was unbearable. The first was too firm, the second too plush, but the smallest, delicate and familiar, felt like home. As she lay down, her body relaxed in a way it never had before. Her breath slowed, her fingers twitched, curling inward. A soft, contented sound rumbled in her throat, something between a sigh and a purr. And then she drifted into sleep. She woke to voices. Goldilocks bolted upright, her breath hitching. 3 figures stood in the doorway, a family of bears staring at her with wide, knowing eyes. Mama Bear let out a choked sob, and Papa Bear's great chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. But it was the smallest bear, the child, who whimpered and pressed himself against his mother's side, staring at Goldilocks with wide, terrified eyes. "You're home," Mama Bear whispered, tears slipping from her dark, glistening eyes. "Our lost one has returned." Goldilocks' pulse pounded in her ears. I don't understand." Papa Bear's growl was not one of anger but deep sorrow. "You were taken from us, cursed to live as a human, and now the magic has called you back." A sharp pain lanced through her spine, and she gasped. Her fingers ached, her nails darkening and thickening. The bones beneath her skin shifted, her jaw tingling with sharp, unfamiliar pressure. "What's happening to me?" The answer was unspoken, but undeniable. The smallest bear, Baby Bear, was changing too. His fur was thinning, his muscle receding. His small round paws stretched into trembling human fingers. His eyes, once bright and golden, dulled into something too soft, too fragile. He looked at her with pleading horror, his voice breaking. "Mama!" he whimpered, but it was not a growl. It was words. Goldilocks clutched her arms, horror settling into her bones. She had eaten Baby Bear's food, sat in his chair, slept in his bed. She had taken his place. And now, the curse demanded a trade, the forgotten bargain. Long ago, before they were bears, they had been a struggling human family. The winter had been cruel, their crops failing, their young daughter growing weaker by the day. A witch came to them then, offering salvation, warmth, food, prosperity. But the price was steep. Their youngest child. Desperate, aching with guilt, they agreed, believing she would be given a better life. The witch did not take her immediately. Instead, she cursed them, turning them into bears and wiping their memories clean. They would forget their daughter ever existed, spared from grief but forever trapped in animal forms. Over time, however, the magic weakened. Faint memories of a child they could not recall began to haunt them. And in the meantime, they had another child, Baby Bear, never realizing they had once lost one before. Now, as Goldilocks returned, the full weight of their past came crashing down. They had already sacrificed one child, and now the curse demanded another. The bear's desperation, a deal with the witch. The bears, unwilling to lose either child, sought out the witch who cursed them. They begged her to undo it and let them all be together. The witch laughed. Dark magic never comes without a price. She offered them a deal. She could reverse the curse and make the family whole again, but magic demands balance. 2 souls must be taken instead of 1. The price is paid, a devastating ending. Before another plea could be uttered, the spell took hold. Goldilocks screamed as her body was ripped away, not transformed, not returned to bare form, but erased, dissolving into golden mist, a wisp of something that once was. Baby Bear, no, the boy, let out a strangled cry as his form crumbled into dust, his fragile human body collapsing into nothing. The forest went silent. The bears stood there, unmoving. Their children, both of them, were gone. The witch gave a satisfied sigh. You should have accepted losing just one. Now, you have lost them both. The cabin still stands, untouched and waiting, but the forest is emptier now. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, it carries with it the softest echo, a distant, lingering cry, lost in the trees forever. Thank you for joining us in the world of Twilight Fables. If you enjoyed this tale and want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more.